Welcome to the Stem Cell Donors Australia podcast.
Hi, and thanks for tuning in to the Stem Cell Donors Australia podcast. My name's Kelly. I run our social media channels and have the honour of speaking with our incredible donors and stem cell recipients. Each month, we'll share real stories from donors, patients, and experts to give you an honest look at the stem cell donation journey, the challenges, the surprises, and the people whose lives are changed along the way. In our first episode, we hear from Ollie, a 29-year-old from the Gold Coast who was diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia just months after moving cities. She takes us through the shock of her diagnosis, what it was like preparing for a stem cell donation, and how she's now looking forward to the future. Welcome everyone. We've got Ollie here today in the driver's seat for our Stem Cell Donors Australia podcast. Ollie is a stem cell recipient. Welcome, Ollie. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from?
So I'm originally from Sydney, Australia, but I moved to the Gold Coast last March, and I'm 29 years old, and I was diagnosed with AML, Acute Myeloid Leukaemia, back in September last year. So it's been a pretty crazy 10, 11 months now, almost coming on a year.
Yeah, wow,
Yeah.
A year. So nearly a year from diagnosis, not a year from transplant.
Yeah, exactly.
So we'll start just from the beginning. Tell us what your life was like before the diagnosis. What did a day look like?
So for me, I've always since I started working, I've always worked full time pretty much. And my partner and I, like I said, we moved up to the Gold Coast and we kind of came up here on a whim. We didn't have anything set up, no accommodation set up, no jobs lined up. We just came up here and kind of started from scratch. And we finally got into our groove, found jobs, started establishing ourselves in our workplaces, and then got the diagnosis.
Wow.
And so it's pretty crazy. But I live quite a simple life, but I'm very big on my health. I love cooking, so I'm very conscious with food I eat and all of that. And then got the diagnosis and everything kind of changed from there.
So what was the driving force from moving to Sydney to Brisbane on a whim?
Well, my partner and I, we both worked for the same company and we both got made redundant at the same time. And so for us, we were kind of just looked at each other and were like, this is kind of just a sign. We always wanted to move up to Queensland at some point, and we were planning to once our lease ended in Sydney, which wasn't until November. And we were like, look, let's just pay out the rest of our lease and let's just go.
Nice. Adventure.
Yeah, and neither of us have ever done anything like that. We've always said we'll always live in Sydney, we'll never leave. And then, we just kind of had to change our heart and
that's cool.
Got up and left.
So what was the first job you guys tried to kind of land with?
So I was looking for work. So when I was in Sydney, I was an operations coordinator for a warehouse, and I was looking for similar work within that field. But I found it really tough finding something. And so I've got management experience with cafes as well. And so I had a lot of barista experience. And so I just thought there's plenty of cafes up here.
Yeah.
I'll just see if I can get a barista job. And I found a really cool place, which I'm still at now, that does specialty coffee. And so, I've been working with them ever since.
So, tell me about any symptoms, what led you to go to the doctor, or how did this occur?
So I kind of started feeling, I think the first symptom I started to feel was fatigue, just unexplained fatigue. No matter how much sleep I got, I'd wake up just so exhausted. And then I started to experience what I thought was vertigo. So I would get really dizzy, especially right before I went to bed. If I'd lay my head down on the pillow, the room would just start spinning. And then I kind of started experiencing hearing loss. And so I'd be at work and my like left ear would stop working.
Wow.
And I'd be like, oh gosh, I can't hear. And then I had the unexplained bruising as well, which just wasn't going away. And then the last symptom was loss of appetite, and I just started losing weight really quickly. And I was like, oh, I should probably go to the doctor.
Yeah. How long was those symptoms lasting for?
Now, when I think back to it, I probably had symptoms for 3 to 4 weeks before I even went in to go and get checked. I never would have thought it would be what it was. I thought it was going to be like anemia or something like that.
I mean, I'm glad it wasn't actually the first thing that you think about. Sometimes it is for other people. You get quite scared. So did it end up being a blood test? Did the doctor was the doctor like, okay, yeah, blood test straight away?
Yeah, so the doctor was like, let's do a blood test. Because she also like looked at my body, and she probably looked at my legs and saw the bruising too. But yeah, she suggested a blood test, so I did that. And it was a Wednesday afternoon, and then I got the call Thursday.
Yeah, they're pretty quick, huh?
Yeah.
And they called you at work?
Yeah, so I was about to clock on, like literally about to step into the store and sign on, and I got a call from the doctor, and she was like, look, I wouldn't usually give you this information over the phone, but you have leukemia and you need to go to the hospital right now. And she had already called the hospital and set up like all of that for me. So I was just like, to work, I gotta go. And yeah, I called my partner, and he came and met me, and then his dad came and drove us to the hospital, which was really good.
Yeah, that's nice. Were you able to process anything at the time? Like, what was going through your head?
Well, I think the first initial feeling, I was just shocked. Like, once she said leukemia, I was like speechless. And then it kind of hit me, and I was a little bit emotional, you know. But from that point, and like especially once I got to the hospital and they're explaining it, it was overwhelming, and I was still a little bit upset, especially having to go through, being told that I'd have to go through chemo and all of that. But once it kind of settled down, I was like, let's just do it. Like, there's nothing, what else am I supposed to do?
Kind of getting like that acceptance phase.
Yeah, exactly. And like, I'm quite a positive person, and I try to have as positive as an outlook on life as I can. And I think that was really important for me going through this as well, is just to have that positive mindset.
Absolutely. And when did they try some treatment before advising you needed a stem cell transplant?
So I did my first round of chemo, which it's called 7+3, and it's basically you're hooked up to the chemo for 24/7, so for a week nonstop. And they did that, and I did go into remission after that, but I think the mutations that I had were, I don't think they're really curable unless you get the transplant. So I was told maybe a month or two after starting treatment that I would need the bone marrow transplant.
Right, so they could kind of tell from the type of cancer that you had that the treatment was not going to work.
Yeah. So I ended up doing, that first round, the 7+3, and then I had to do 3 rounds of consolidation chemo until they found my donor, and then luckily they were able to find it really quickly. And
oh, that is lucky.
Yeah.
What's consolidation chemo?
I think it's almost like maintenance chemo, like just to keep anything from coming back, but I'm not 100% sure. Yeah.
Fair enough. And so when they described to you how the transplant would go, what did they say?
When I had the first initial call with my BMT doctor, who is actually based in Brisbane, it was pretty confronting because obviously they have to lay everything on the plate for you. They can't give you bits and bobs of risks and everything. So it was pretty confronting, but I knew it was what I needed to do anyway. So yeah, we just kind of went through it. But yeah, it was very, very confronting.
Was he kind of like, this is your last resort, like you don't have another option?
It wasn't really said like that, but it was kind of like, it was almost implied, like your survival rate is nowhere near as much as if you get it. So
And for those listening, BMT is a bone marrow transplant. We usually refer to it as a stem cell transplant just only because bone marrow has such like a negative connotation these days with a big needle in the hip. But that's what we're referring to. Bone marrow transplant, stem cell transplant, same thing. And so if you were to describe to someone who'd had no idea what a stem cell transplant was and how it would save your life, how would you describe that? How would you explain that rather?
I think the way that I explain it is it's not a big needle in the hip. Because I think a lot of people do think that. When I've spoken to people in my circle, that's what they assume as well. I think being a stem cell donor, it's not as full on as what it sounds. It's almost like giving blood in a way, like very, very similar. Maybe a bit longer process, but, you know, it's like a day out of your work week.
Yeah.
It's not just elderly people as well, or people, around my age. It's people of all ages and even young, like babies that need it, So I think to take such a short amount of your time out to save a life is pretty incredible. Yeah.
Absolutely. And so the stem cells that your donor provided are then transfused into your body, and then hopefully your body takes up these new stem cells and provides you with a new immune system that, would you say, cures the cancer?
I guess it's case by case, but in my case I'm still in remission, and I just had my 6-month post stem cell transplant testing, and I had 2 forms of mutations in my bone marrow, and both of them are now gone, and they can't detect any leukemia. I'm in remission. I guess they don't consider you cured until I think it's after 5 years or something.
Yeah, it is a heavy word to say that we don't want to be throwing it around there, but it does.
Yeah.
I mean, would we say it saves lives?
100%. I think even just from my personal experience, with how I was feeling pre-diagnosis and how long I also left it, to be honest, it's pretty morbid, but I'm surprised I'm still here, to be honest. I don't think I would be here without the stem cell transplant.
Yeah, and without a complete stranger who not only has signed up to be a stem cell donor and waited on the registry, and then when they got the call up to donate their stem cells to a complete stranger, they've said yes, which is pretty incredible.
Yeah.
And so did you realise how rare sometimes it can be to find a matching donor? Did they kind of explain that?
So, yeah, they did explain that to me, but I think for me, because although I do have Indigenous heritage in my family, I also have a lot of European, and I actually have a bit of German in me, and that's where my stem cells came from. They were from a young girl in Germany. And so I was lucky in that case because I guess I was a better fit. And I think they actually found a few donors for me, but this girl was the best 10 out of 10 match for me. But I do know that there's a lot of people out there who aren't as lucky because maybe, their heritage or ethnicity, there's not as many people on the registry with their heritage or, ethnicity. So it can be tough for them to find a donor.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, as you mentioned, if you have a more diverse background, we know East Asian, we know Aboriginal Torres Strait Islander people, they definitely find it a lot harder to find a matching donor, which is why we are always asking for anyone who's 18 to 35 to sign up to the Australian Stem Cell Donor Registry, because there could be someone out there who needs your exact DNA to save someone's life. And you just never know. I think it's a lot different to blood donation in terms of when you go and donate blood, you can donate, you don't know who you're donating to. It could be anyone.
Yeah.
But when you donate your stem cells, you're donating it to a specific person who needs your stem cells, which is very unique. And also really cool. I think the donors who get to donate, find it like a once in a lifetime experience. And as you mentioned, it's a day in hospital, a long blood donation. And when you think about the person on the other end who's got leukemia, it's like, why not? Why wouldn't you do it?
Yeah, exactly. And my partner, he signed up to the registry after all of this, but he actually got his little card in the mail the other day to say that he's a stem cell
Nice.
donor.
I
I was
love
like, oh, that's
that.
so cool. I was like, I'm jealous. I want one of
Yeah.
those.
You should get him to take a photo and tag us. I love seeing it on socials.
Yeah, I will actually. I'll get him to do it later.
Yeah, people love the donor cards. I've had a reach out from someone who recently lost their wallet and they wanted us to send them another donor card.
Oh,
So it's
yeah.
really cool that they're proud to be stem cell donors.
Yeah, 100%. It's really awesome because through my experience, I've even had people who I'm mutually friends with from high school, which I haven't been in high school for over 10 years now. Even they reached out to me and said, I'm going to hop on the donor list. Like, it's too close to home. And yeah, they were like, I'm just going to hop on. I know how important it is now. And
Yes.
yeah, with how prevalent I think blood cancer is now, or any blood disorder, I think it's really important that as many people do hop on it as possible.
100%. And we do have a bit of an issue that people don't really know who we are, or there's not that recognition of, if you think of lifeblood and blood donation again, everyone knows what that is, what that involves, why it's important. So yeah, we're ramping up and trying to create, this is what we have this podcast right here and talking to recipients and people like you so we can share these stories and educate people on how important this is, because yeah, lots of people don't know who we are. Stem Cell Donors Australia, we manage the registry, the Australian registry. A lot of people don't know as well, when you sign up to become a stem cell donor, like through us, for example, you actually go on the global registry and then you can donate to anyone in the world, which is awesome. So tell me how the transfusion went.
It was completely fine. Like, the actual process of having the transfusion, like, they just came in one day with obviously there's preparation for it. You've got to do a couple of days of chemo, and then I had to do radiation as well to completely clear my body of my own cells. And then, yeah, they just came in with the bag of stem cells. It just looked like a bag of blood almost, and just hooked me up, and it took about 2-3 hours for it to transfuse, and that was it. Yeah, it was probably more just the process afterwards, like the stem cell, like my body taking on the stem cells and what kind of comes of that. Like, you deal with a lot of symptoms. So that was probably the toughest part. But yeah, the actual like transfusion or like transplant itself wasn't too bad at all.
Yeah, I hear you have it pretty rough before the transplant as well, right? Like, as you mentioned, they're trying to kill off all your stem cells in preparation for your body to accept these new stem cells. That can be quite tough.
Yeah, it is, because yeah, you basically become neutropenic, so you don't have any immune system basically to kill off anything. So you have to be really, really careful going outside, like avoiding busy places, because yeah, if you were to catch anything, it can be really dangerous. Even just a cold can be quite dangerous. And yeah, your energy levels are quite low and you can deal with other symptoms. Like, for me, I was quite lucky. I didn't really deal with too many symptoms from the chemo. The only thing was the first round of chemo I had, I ended up in ICU with really bad colitis. So that kind of knocked me around a little bit. But the chemos after that, I was fine. I didn't really have any symptoms at all, like not even any nausea. I was really, really lucky to have not dealt with that too much. But yeah, I think the fatigue and the energy loss, and yeah, like you kind of just feel your body becoming super weak. Yeah, that's kind of hard to deal with, especially when you were once like super strong and able to, do whatever. Yeah, so I guess that's tough. But yeah, like I said, like everyone's experience is so different, because everyone's bodies are so different and take on things differently. And yeah, like I've heard some pretty horror stories from other people in regards to what they go through. So yeah, I consider myself really, really lucky.
I'm glad you didn't experience too much more. How was the hospital for you? Were you in isolation at all? Were you able to have visitors?
Yeah, I was able to have visitors. The hospital, honestly, in the grand scheme of it, like it wasn't too bad. I think For me, the hardest part was probably the food, just because of the way that I'm used to eating, and like I'm so used to being so in control of cooking my own food. So I think that was probably the toughest part to deal with, but it was comfortable, and the nurses were really, really lovely. Because I was at 2 different hospitals. So for all the chemo that I did prior to the stem cell transplant, I did that all at the Gold Coast University Hospital. And then I did my stem cell transplant at the Royal Brisbane Hospital. So, but yeah, the nurses at both those hospitals were incredible. They made me feel so comfortable and really tended to what I needed. And yeah, it was really lovely. And I was lucky, my partner as well, he actually stopped working as soon as I got my diagnosis and didn't work the entire time. And he became my full-time carer as well. So he was at the hospital with me every single day from like morning till night. And then I had visitors, like my mum would fly up often, and same with my sister. My dad would come and visit as well. So yeah, I had a lot of visitors coming around all the time. Yeah.
That's good. And so how did you feel post-transplant? Is the first 100 days, I think, is quite substantial?
Yeah, so post-transplant, they tell you like you're going to be like a newborn baby, and it really was like that. Like even just learning how to walk properly again, building up the strength, because you're sitting in a hospital bed for a lot of the time, and you lose a lot of muscle mass. And yeah, I found that really difficult. I remember the first day I got out of hospital, I tried to walk just to the end of the street, and I couldn't even make it to the end of the street. I was like, I've got to go back and go upstairs and sit down. But after the stem cell transplant, I did kind of deal with a little bit of nausea after that. And then you deal with mucositis, which kind of affects all through your esophagus and can cause like blistering and like a lot of irritation. So it's actually hard to eat. That's why you see a lot of people in hospital once they get a stem cell transplant, they've got the nose tube in. So you basically get fed through that in case you can't eat, which is most people I think deal with not being able to eat. But yeah, once that gets taken out, your tongue and your taste buds completely change. So you kind of have to gradually reincorporate foods. So like spicy foods is like, for me, I used to love spicy food. I could like eat the spiciest of foods, but after that I couldn't.
Yeah.
Even just like a super, super mild hot sauce, I couldn't deal with anymore. And super salty things, like savory things, took a little while for my taste buds to kind of come back and for that to be normal. But sweet things were fine straight away, of course.
That's always good.
Yeah. But yeah, and then I was dealt with like a few like skin issues after that, but it's all healed up now. And yeah, like I've been pretty good since then. Haven't really dealt with any symptoms, which is really good.
Nice. And so you mentioned, is it 6 months now post-transplant?
Yeah, 6 months post-transplant.
Amazing. And how long were you in hospital for?
Collectively, I was probably in hospital for the stem cell transplant, I was in hospital for about 3 weeks. But collectively over each visit, I was probably in hospital for maybe like 3 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. And back at work now?
Yeah, so I went back to work maybe 2 months ago now, and
Nice.
just gradually building up my hours again. But yeah, it's been really good. It's been really nice to kind of just interact with people again. Like I said, I love working. It keeps me sane. So it's really nice just being up on my feet. And
Yeah, I bet it would be after sitting in a hospital bed for months.
yeah, for sure.
And so what are your focus and priority, I guess, how has your life might have changed since this experience?
I think since this experience, I've definitely like acknowledged that connection, and especially with family, is really, really important. Like you never know what's going to happen in life, and I think trying to spend as much time with your loved ones as possible. I think as well just not taking life for granted, like go out and do the things you want to do and don't let life kind of hold you back. Because, you know, you just don't know what's going to happen. You may end up in a situation where you can't do those things anymore. So, yeah, just kind of take life by the horns and, yeah.
Is there anything on your goals list now that maybe you were a bit nervous to do?
I think not so much nervous, but I think for me, I just want to travel more. I just want to get out and experience more cultures and places, because I haven't done a lot of traveling. Like, I've mainly just kind of traveled around Australia and like a few places in Asia. But yeah, I'd really love to get out and just experience more.
Yeah, amazing. Anything booked yet? Or I guess still early days?
Yeah, I think for international travel, it's probably still a bit early days for me. But yeah, my partner, he's part Italian. So we really want to go to Italy, and I think he's got a bit of family there as well. So it'd be nice to go and visit and, yeah, experience that, because he's Italian, but we both love Italian culture and food, of course. So yeah, it'd be really nice to go that way. Yeah.
Amazing. I guess what would you say to someone who's just been diagnosed with a blood cancer and told that they need a bone marrow transplant or a stem cell transplant?
I think the main thing I would say is, like, just keep fighting, and keep that positive mindset, because without it, it's just going to be difficult. And like, even a lot of the nurses would say the people with the most positive mindset make it through, where generally people who struggle and are quite negative, they have a tougher time. So even though sometimes and some days may just feel like the worst days of your life, just try and push through and keep that mindset, and surround yourself with positive people as well, because it definitely makes a difference. And yeah, like, try and laugh as much as you can, be silly as much as you can. And yeah, just take care of yourself as well. It's not an easy thing to be going through. Like, you shouldn't bottle things up. If you need to let things out, there's plenty of outlets, either through the hospital or through, like, for my case, there was the Leukemia Foundation. Yeah, you should never feel like you're fighting the battle alone.
I think that's great advice.
Yeah.
And what about a message to anyone who's thinking about becoming a stem cell donor?
I think it's a no-brainer. I think, if you're healthy and you are able to donate stem cells, you should, because it is becoming a very prominent cancer, or even just blood disorders in general. More and more people are being diagnosed every day, and it could be a little baby you could be saving the life of. It could be someone it could be anyone. It could be someone from across the world, and sometimes it's your only lease on life to get a stem cell transplant. So I think taking one day out of your life to give stem cells is incredible to save someone else's life.
Amazing. Yeah. Well, thank you, Ollie, for joining us. It's been so lovely chatting to you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
No worries. And definitely keep us posted on your travels.
Yeah, I will.